everyone, I'm Stevie Nellenback, and here I have with me today is Corey Munn. Corey Munn is a member of the New York State Technology and Engineering Education Association, where in 2001 he was awarded the Regional Teacher of the Year, which is awesome. And another award he's got coming is the International Technology and Engineering Education Association, and is being selected for 2024-2025 Program Excellence Award, which are huge accomplishments, and congratulations for those. So to get things started off a little bit, I want to talk about originally you were an math education major and then switched to technology. So I was curious about what degrees do you have and how did you end up with this focus you have in engineering?
So my bachelor's degree is in technology education, and my master's degree is in educational technology. I started teaching technology education in 2012, and the program at the high school that I was currently or was working at then had Project Lead the Way engineering courses. And as some of the older teachers had left for other positions, I was able to start my trainings in those classes and teach the engineering sequence now.
That's really cool. Did you like one more than the other? Like, did you like just technology, or are you more interested in the engineering that you are doing now?
I became drawn to the engineering courses. They're more rigorous, which the students are able to get college credit through, and it draws a different type of students, ones that are genuinely interested in the curriculum that I'm teaching versus all the gen ed, just another gen ed class for the requirement.
Yeah, that's awesome, especially if kiddos are able to get that college credit from it. Um, so basically, I want to interview you today because I'm curious about your instructional knowledge from your past experiences and thinking about moving forward for what are we leaving behind for these teachers. So that dives into my first question, where you began teaching your career in Southern Maryland and transferred to Johnson City Middle School, then Union Adic High School. Was there any kind of institutional knowledge left for you? What was the quality and experience like?
So transitioning from Southern Maryland to Johnson City Middle School, I took over for a retired teacher. The teacher did not leave me with very many tools. Was simply said, this is your classroom. Here's what we have available, and I was kind of left on my own to figure it out. Um, and I didn't get any knowledge of the students I was going to be teaching or the what my course load would kind of look like. I was really just making it up as I went. I had no idea what my budget was, so that became very challenging. Um, but then when I transitioned to Union Endicott High School, I took over for a retired teacher who wasn't quite ready to retire yet. It was just his time for the retirement benefits. And he was instrumental in my transition to make sure that I was successful. He kind of told me about the students, about the community. He laid out what I have available. He gave me tools for curriculum, different, access to the things that he had known about and used for the last 20 years.
So definitely probably a smoother transition with the Union Endicott High School.
Yes.
That's awesome. Um, so as you've transferred schools more than once now, what are some of the challenges when transitioning school districts? Specifically about the schools themselves and what policies they might have, what different things you have to mindset shift.
Transitioning in between districts, it's difficult at first learning about the differences, and what their educational philosophies are, It's also learning about the students themselves. Every community is slightly different, and they possess, they have their own unique challenges. And then also, when you move to a new district and you don't know hardly anyone, especially in the size of the districts I was moving to, it's hard to kind of establish your support system. Who are you going to go to if you need help? If you're having challenges with students, what is the process to get better, work towards that?
So you mentioned the different size school districts. Were they similar? Were they big schools, little schools?
The school in Southern Maryland was very large. I think they graduated about 400 students a year. Johnson City Middle School, I don't know what the district graduates, but I know I had almost 300 students that year. It was broken up into quarters. I had each student in the entire middle school for 10 weeks at a time. And at Union Acad High School, they graduate about 250 students.
So fairly big from what you came from or are used to.
Yes.
Nice. Um, so specifically when you're dealing with trying to figure out that support system and navigating your way through these different schools, how did you overcome these challenges? What specifically did you do that made it easier for you to become successful in your now current position?
So before I transferred over to Union Acad High School, in my interview process, I wanted to make sure that the district would support my lofty goals. One of the reasons I left Johnson City is because I took over for the retired teacher who had been doing the same thing for the last 20 years. And I, went to the principal at the time and asked, what can I do, to change up, modernize, not only my lab space, but the curriculum. And so I had learned from that. And in my interview process, I asked, how are you going to support me if I want to start a new class? Would I be able to start new classes? Would you fund them? Would you fund field trips? Would I be able to start a club such as National Technical Honor Society that would allow for growth in my students? And they were very supportive with everything I've needed, and that's been an extremely beneficial to my career and actually my mental health because I enjoy my job significantly more than I did the year prior.
That's awesome. So biggest thing is that looking for things that more fit you, would you say?
Yes, and when I transitioned over to Union Acad, I had 6 years of teaching experience in already, so I kind of knew what I wanted to do, what with my students and build a program essentially. And as I was supported more, I was able to do more things, and that's the reason that I was able to get Regional Teacher of the Year, and now we got the Program of the Year through NICETIA, and now the Program of Excellence Award through ITIA. None of that would have happened if I, didn't have the support system I do at Union Acad.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so moving forward, that's kind of based on your past and your past experiences, trying to think ahead. According to New York City Council Investigation Division, over 70% of most experienced New York City public school teachers are likely to retire within the next 2 years. What are your thoughts on ways that we can preserve their institutional knowledge? In other words, how can we build from these retiring teachers knowledge and experience rather than starting from the ground up?
So the first thing that comes to mind is a mentorship program that is of value. I've been in mentorship programs, having changed districts 3 different times, where it's kind of like a basic like check-in, which isn't really that useful. That meet with an experienced teacher that says, how are you doing? Do you need help with anything? But I never found that much value in it. Where I would find value is having the retired teacher come in and observe. At this point in my career, I only get observed twice a year, and there's not a lot of constructive feedback for me, from my administration. So inviting, the retired teachers in as I'm giving a lesson, just to have a, low stakes conversation about what I'm doing well, what I'm doing wrong. Is there areas I can improve upon? And having someone to give me that constructive feedback on a more regular basis. There's 180 days in the school year. Having constructive feedback throughout the year is going to be significantly more beneficial than my 2 observations I get a year now. And I think it's also important that you have someone within your discipline. So my principal, I believe, is a social studies major. He's not going to give me constructive feedback on how to build things, very well, or how to run a technology classroom where it doesn't look like a traditional social studies class. And then lastly, I think having knowledge of your community that you're moving into, if it's outside of your comfort zone, if it's not somewhere where you grew up, the challenges that you're going to face with your students could be directly related back to the community. For instance, at the Union Endicott district, there was a major cultural shift when IBM closed their plant and a significant amount of people moved out. And there's also 2 major floods within 10 years, that changed the dynamic of, a lot of people after that second flood, they didn't want to repair their homes. They moved out of the area, and the community had a drastic shift in who was coming into the schools. So having an understanding of both, your students and the surrounding community is really important.
So some things to take away from what you said. Do you think like a regional day for like instead of staff development days used for trainings that we might have seen numerous times, do you think if we had like a regional disciplinary meeting on a regular would be beneficial?
Absolutely. So one of the caveats of NICEDIA is there's also a Southern Technology Engineering and Educators Association. So that is a group of technology teachers all around the southern tier of New York. We get together once a month for meetings. They all serve a different purpose. It could be an industry tour, it could be talking about curriculum, but it gives us a chance to network with other professionals in our area. And we all have different strengths and weaknesses. So last week we had a morning off and with the Regents exams, and we were able to go over to the neighboring school district to help a teacher figure out his 3D printer. We were able to work on different projects and collaborate together like that, share our expertise, because there's a vast differences in the amount of experience in NICEDIA, and you basically get to leverage that in your own classroom.
That's awesome. I so this is my third year teaching math, and I'm at a school district where there's only 2 math teachers, and we came in brand new. And I would say of the 3 years, there's only been one PLC day for us to take, like where I got to network with other math teachers. So being a part of that is, and you said, I think once a month.
Yes.
That's awesome. I feel like definitely some kind of mentorship with that would definitely be beneficial.
Mhm.
Sorry about my dog here. I have one more question. And what advice would you give to someone changing careers slash districts in the education world?
My biggest advice would be to find a district that's willing to support you. It could be in different ways. It doesn't always have to be funding, but money obviously helps when you have lofty goals and you want to establish yourself. Um, I've learned from being at two other districts, if you're not happy at your job, it's okay to leave. And if you find a support system that will allow you to reach your goals, then it allows your job to be significantly better. You don't leave school upset every day. You're happy about where you're at, and if you're happy, you can make a bigger difference. So I think that's about all I got.
Yeah, that's, I think, some great advice and some that I need to take personally as well. Um, well, thank you for your time today. Um, I think that's all I got for you. Did you want to say anything else?
I think I'm all set.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.